they come from a number of sources, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. They come both from pictures, two pictures that we bought that had been up for auction, and the other pictures, of which there are 8 and 5, are donations from people's estate, the estate of Mickey Robinson, daughter-in-law of William, one from a person called McCallum. This comes from Mickey's collection. It's kind of iconic, you know, William Heath Robinson, the humorous man, with Saturday Morning the cat. It's a very, very important piece, and we're so lucky to have it. In any kind of museum life, art gallery life, acquisitions obviously are fundamental. And these works that I'm going to be showing, 2 works, will be actually on show in the next exhibition that Geoffrey's curating on Heath Robinson and his magazine art. This is what we call a double spread picture, wonderful story by Rishmo Crompton. And essentially, she is a woman who has been a governess all her life, much loved by children, and now she's going into retirement. And it's a story of her increasingly becoming poorer and poorer and poorer, to the point that she's homeless and destitute, she's starving, and it's tracing that. This is 1933. And William, as you know, the one thing about William, apart from his humour, is this incredible kind of empathy that he has to the human character, to human types and everything. And that is really pulled out with this elderly woman here. She's in the process of dying here. This is from another series of work called Dickens is Dead, which was done for the Nash Pall Mall magazine, and it's a story essentially around theatre production, putting on a play. We call this realist humour. When he was working in the 30s, he's working for this American publishing company. They've got the state-of-the-art publishing. They can print huge double spread pictures in their magazines with colour as well. You've got it here. And what it shows is this man here is in a play. He's the sound engineer, and he's been instructed to create the sound of a howling coyote. We have this series of pictures were donated to us from a man called McCallum. We have 2 pieces here from a book called Bill the Minder. The children will far sooner have mumps than not, because then they can have these wonderful elixirs and so on. And then it develops even further, where eventually they start spending all their money on jam puffs and getting sick, and then they can have his wonderful medicine. Another story here of a young man who one of the nurses, because she's been sacked, takes him away and sells her to a witch for, I think it's either 2 or 3 coconuts. He then becomes an orphan. Then he meets a musician who teaches him the concertina. This is from a Latin primer. It was the first time that children's Latin textbooks were produced in a way that it would make learning Latin attractive. She is really a servant girl who's having a lonely, hard time, but still has hope. Lone and alone she lies, poor Miss Seven, 5 steep flights from earth and 1 from heaven. Dark hair and dark brown eyes, not to be sad, she tries still, but still lonely she lies, poor Miss Seven. This work, The Pilgrims, is a lovely picture of 2 young pilgrims being met by this old man at the outskirts of this town. It's a very beautiful piece. And this is one where he's just thinking of an elderly woman. She's probably destitute. This is the 1930s. With these works that he did for himself, whether they were landscapes or people sitting under trees, and he explores different kinds of modes. You know, might be slightly surrealist, might be slightly kind of Matisse-like. You know, does many, many kind of experimental works. Very, very interesting side of Will. And likewise, this work here, completely different. You know, this is an experimental. This is what we would call in art history an avant-gardist. It's almost obligatory for an artist from sort of Manet onwards that you all the time explore something different. And again, something melancholic about it. Is she an apple seller? Does she work? Is she in love? Is it a kind of sad love? You know, you ask all these kind of psychological questions. Mickey is the daughter-in-law of Will. So Mickey's husband, Tom, the youngest brother, Mickey, when Tom died, she took it upon herself to really be a kind of unofficial custodian of the whole Heath Robinson estate. This is a milk dairy, okay? And to make sure that the milk hasn't been adulterated by water, they employ water diviners to come in and hold the hazel twig over the churns of milk. And in that typical Heath Robinson way, these are very serious, self-important people. We have the technicians above here, we have the workers here, and this is serious work around something extremely absurd. This is a caricature of Will by himself. And this used to hang in Mickey's sitting room for years. It's probably done when he's older, probably in the late 30s, in the 40s. He looks older. It's so typical of him, this kind of combining of humour, of exquisite line work, and of course within it we have this cat. And this is Saturday morning. And you will see him in many of Heath Robinson's pictures. And this is by Charles. And Charles, doing this kind of very Art Nouveau work here, well known for sort of pictures of fairyland, true annals of fairyland. And then we come to Dear Tom. Tom was the fine artist of the family. He was the person that did watercolours. He was the person who did oil painting. I must refer you to this Adopt a Picture scene. And this is offering pictures that are in real need of restoration. And this is a scheme where you can adopt the picture, pay for the restoration. You will have your name down in perpetuity because you'll always be quoted on the labels if you have a particular dedication that you want.